And thank you very much for joining our webinar, the last one for 2019, entitled Are You Ready to Establish Your Internal Training Academy? So just before we continue any forward, let me just check if you can hear me well through your earphones or through your speakers. Can you please just type in the chat room if you can hear me well, or if you have any problem, then our IT support will be in touch with you. Hello, Imad. Thank you very much for replying. Excellent. Rustan seems also doing fine on the voice terms. Okay. So again, welcome to this webinar. And just before we start the content, allow me a little bit to introduce the company which is providing this webinar, which is Meirc Training and Consulting. So our company has been established in 1958 in Beirut to offer training and consultancy services for the region. We moved our headquarters in 1991 to Dubai, and since then we grew to be able to serve clients across the Middle East, Africa, East Asia and Europe. And nowadays we have around 270 courses that we offer in our training portfolio, in addition to the consultancy services that we offer mainly in organizational performance focused on the human capital development. Our solutions are offered in terms of in-company programs as well as in public programs. So we can also customize training programs based on the needs and competencies that need to be developed. As the market grew, we found out that in 2014 there was a need to provide specialized trainings, the kind of industry-specific and function-oriented trainings. So that's why we established a division called Plus Specialty Training that offers programs developed and facilitated by leading subject matter experts who are practitioners or technical trainers in their area of expertise. So some of the topics that we offer are accounting and finance, contracts management, leadership and management, maintenance planning and asset management, marketing and sales, human resources management and training. Our courses can be certified, and we have partnership with very large institutions around the world that endorse our courses and our services to add more credibility. Our company, Meirc, has been thriving to demonstrate the 5 values that stem from the name of Meirc itself. M standing for mastery, excellence is representing the letter E, innovation, reliability, and client centricity as well. So we aim to become the preferred partner for our clients, the trusted partner for our clients that aim to develop the competencies of their team members. And we as well offer these webinars to contribute to our community and to live up to our mission, which is all around providing cutting edge and best in class training and consultancy programs and solutions. So that's a little bit about the company itself. Allow me also to introduce myself. My name is Rabia. I'm a management consultant with Meirc Training and Consulting, wrapping up my 2nd year and going through the 3rd year right now. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in education from a Lebanese university. And I also hold a master's degree from the University of Leicester in the UK in Human Resources Management and Training. During my career, I served in both corporate and consultancy firms. I have been very blessed to have the experience in the manufacturing field, in telecom, in banking, in FMCG, in retail, insurance, pharmaceutical companies, as well as specifically industrial companies working with very specific products. I served in companies with 2,000 and 3,000 employees and above, as well as consultancy firms. I also taught some courses in some of very eminent universities in Lebanon. And nowadays, as a management consultant in Meirc, I offer courses within leadership, interpersonal skills, HR, and communication, on top of offering the consultancy services within my area of expertise. So that's it about the introduction. And let's hit the road with our module and introduce a little bit the concept of Internal Training Academy. But before going through that, I would like to ask our participant whether they have already an Internal Training Academy in their own company, or they are in the process of establishing one. So are you in this area so far? Are you new to that? So just help me out a little bit to be able to customize the content for your own needs as well. So if you can type, great. So Imad, you are in the process of establishing the academy. That's great. That's very good. Let's wait if we see if we can have some answers from other people as well. I can see that someone else. Great. So Rustan, you're also willing to establish an internal academy in your company. So that's good. So we are on the right page. So no one has, as it seems, or those, at least from those who of you who answered, no one seems to have already an experience in running an internal training academy, and that's good because sometimes these initiatives might go wrong, and you might be surprised that if you don't establish the internal training academy very, very well, then it's gonna fire back on the whole training and development concept and on the whole credibility of the training department, as well on the motivation of people to learn further. So as we go through the slides and through the content and the concepts of the course, I'm gonna guide you through a little bit of what can be the benefits and what can be the risks of establishing an internal training academy. Certainly the topic is very diversified, and we're just about to measure readiness on being able to do that or not. So I have been into many ventures in terms of establishing training academies. Some of them couldn't be described as highly successful, and some of them were highly impactful on organizational level. And it was also impacting the backbone culture of the organization itself. So from my mistakes and from my success stories, I would like to share with you the concepts of an internal training academy. So let's start with a definition. What an internal academy is needs to be really defined before we move any forward. So an internal training academy in an organization is a body through which all the formal learning interventions are offered to employees. So first, when we say formal learning, we need to stop a little bit to identify what formal learning means. You know that in order to develop the competencies of your employees. There are so many methodologies, so many techniques, and they can even learn while having lunch. If they sit next to a knowledgeable colleague, that would be as well a learning opportunity. But that's what we call an informal learning opportunity. They can learn from an honest discussion with their manager, but that's not a formal learning intervention. What is commonly known as a formal learning intervention is, first of all, anything that has very strict learning objectives, and it's within a very um, purposeful framework of development that has objectives and has an end in mind and is planned and is usually led by an instructor. That's what formal learning is. So the most famous type of formal learning is classrooms, trainings, and workshops. Certainly, an online methodology is also a formal learning. If you have a lab where your employees practice some skills, let's say dismantling an air pump or fixing an HVAC unit, that's also a formal learning. Why? Because it is very well structured, it has objectives, and it is usually designed and led for a purpose by a designer and by an instructor. So that's what formal learning is. And the academy is the body in the organization that offers all those formal learning opportunities for their employees. Why am I saying a body and not a venue? Because the venue is only a part of the training academy. Now, most of the companies don't claim that they have an academy unless they have a physical venue. And the venue is very important because it is a visible message for everyone that our company is a learning organization and it is encouraging every employee to develop themselves. So that's a little bit of a definition. Usually, these academies are led by the Learning and Development Department. So that's the definition as per se. I hope it is clear so far. So please, if you have any question at any point in time, feel free to type it down. If it is the right time to answer it, we'll go right away. Otherwise, we'll leave it until the end of our webinar. So that's the definition. Now let's move a little bit forward to check what can be the benefits of having an internal training academy. So first of all, and that's the main motivation for all companies to establish their own academy, is optimizing the return on investment of their learning initiatives. So as you know, when we talk about the return on investment, it's a very straightforward formula that includes benefits and cost. And the factor here, stressing optimization of the ROI on learning, is not meaning only reducing the cost of learning itself. Cost reduction is partly contributing to optimizing the ROI of learning, but it's not the only way. So you do not establish a learning academy mainly to save money, no, but to optimize the ROI. And these two things are slightly different because optimizing the whole learning is more than financial, as I'm sure you all know. So that's the first one. So you optimize the return on learning by making sure that you offer something that is customized, you offer something that is sustainable, and by offering something that is within the reach of all your employees. So in fact, you increase the number of employees trained, and that's another way of optimizing the return on investment of your learning initiatives. The second benefit when you establish a learning academy in your organization is establishing a learning culture. So in normal language, when a company invests a big amount of money to have their own internal training academy, meaning dedicating a venue and decorating the venue, equipping the venue with all the required equipments, having everything set, making sure that this venue is maintained, developing courses, archiving those courses, investing in a learning management system that manages registrations, reminders, emails, and everything. This is a company telling their employees that we strongly believe in learning. And when this is done, then more people are encouraged to use this academy because it is available. And that means that you are having a learning culture established in the organization. The third benefit is continuous improvement of those learning interventions. So imagine that you are keeping those courses, that the curriculum that you develop for the academy. You are offering it frequently, and then you are reviewing it. You're evaluating its impact. You're auditing it. You're trying to improve it. You're trying to add, to remove, to update those things, to connect these curriculum in a way that leads to a certain certification or to a certain career development for a certain employee. That means that you are offering updated learning interventions. The fourth aspect of benefits of having internal training academy is the leverage of knowledge transfer. So as you might expect, having an internal training academy would also invite your learning and development department to develop internal trainers. Now, this might have a full-time job called an internal trainer if the frequency of training is very high, or there might be professionals in their own areas of expertise that like to share knowledge. So you train them, you prepare them, you help them designing their courses, and you invite them to offer their learning to others. Like if you have a finance director that's a subject matter expert in your own financials as a company and knows how other managers in the organization that have nothing to do with finance can impact the financial results of a company. Why not? You give him a program where you qualify him or her to become a trainer. You give them some courses on instructional design, and then you ask them to deliver courses for their colleagues. From one side, this person will not charge you. Maybe you will need to reward them. We'll discuss this later, but they will not charge you for the cost. You will pay their hours in terms of their salaries, but they will share their knowledge with others. The same if you have an HR manager that would like to deliver a course as for entitled HR for non-HR managers. The same for maintenance, the same for security, the same for safety, and the list goes on. So this is how you leverage the knowledge transfer inside your organization. So those are the benefits of having an internal academy. However, there are some risks associated with internal training academies. And this comes from, allow me to say, some of my failures in this area. The first risk is that your employees will perceive you as a stingy company that is trying to save money by not sending them abroad or to hotels or bringing someone from the outside the organization to give them some training. And they will see you as someone who is cutting costs rather than someone building the capacities of their employees. And having said that, we never said that an internal training academy only offers trainings by internal employees or internal trainers. It's the body that offers all formal learning interventions, whether it was from a third party or it was from the internal employees themselves. That's the first one. The second risk associated with internal training academies is lack of seriousness. So somehow, employees will take learning for granted. So let's say you are having a program on one of the values of your organization. Let's say about drive for results. And you have 700 employees and you need to offer 35 sessions, 20 participants each, to give this kind of courses to all the employees across the organization. And you send the invitation to line managers to nominate their employees, and they do so by the date of the session. Few hours before the session starts or on the day before the session, you will start risk, and again, this is not certain. It's a risk that you need to maintain. So they will start sending excuses, I cannot come tomorrow, I have something very urgent in the job. And you will see that the seriousness of how employees perceive the offering of learnings in the organization will decrease. So that's another risk associated with this. Certainly, because their colleagues are offering the training sometimes, then again, you will lose a little bit of seriousness, especially if you don't prepare well your internal trainers to offer courses at the same quality as the external experts. So that's also a consideration that you need to take care of. The third aspect is compromising quality. So imagine your internal trainer, which is not a full-time internal trainer, that out of excitement only, they say, yes, I will offer the course. But then they will design a low-quality course, low-quality slides, very traditional kind of learning, without any kind of activities. They will not have the right attitude in the class. They will not be able to handle the audience correctly. They will not report any data that you need in order to manage the KPI aspects of the internal training academy. And then all of a sudden, you will see that the quality of your offerings is going down. And imagine what would happen in this case. It means that the next time the academy manager sends an invitation for training, people will be reluctant to register or to join. And that means that instead of establishing a learning culture, you just established a message that we are in the area of cutting costs and just giving any kind of training for the employees. Employees are very sensitive to that, and that would impact their motivation to the job itself. So you don't want to venture into this place. Now, another thing, which is a risk, but it's a gift inside, is people getting jealous from each other. Internal trainers will have a platform to be seen in front of everyone in the organization. But imagine that you are selecting your internal trainers, and through the selection process, some people didn't go through. So they will feel jealous, they will undermine the achievement of others, they will even badmouth the kind of process. That's one aspect. Another aspect is that employees will start asking more and more for training just for the sake of the training itself, which will ruin the credibility of the L&D department. However, if this jealousy is well managed, then this is going to be a desire to get more trainings, and that's very important, in fact. So these are the risks, or some of the risks involved with having your own training academy or establishing your own training academy. Any questions so far, ladies and gentlemen? Anything that was not clear? Questions? You have a question, Rustan. Very good. Type it out, please. And I'll give you like 30 seconds and then we're going to answer the question if it's possible. Please go ahead. How to identify the trainers in the company. I guess I'm going to get there in a while. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of a process about doing so. So thank you very much for the question. Let me move ahead with the components of Internal Training Academy. So as I said, the venue is not the only thing about the Internal Training Academy. What you need on top of that is internal trainers, you need courses catalog, you need learning partners, and you need an information system. So let me go through each component one by one and explain a little bit. And by the time I reach the second component, Rustan, I'll be able to answer your question. So let's start with a little bit about the venue itself. Some of the tips about having this venue come from a design perspective. First of all, it needs to be inviting to learn. With all the decoration, with all the quotes on the floor, on the walls, with the books that are there, with the messages that you spend, with the accessibility, with the location, with everything, with the mood that it creates, with the colors that you use, the space that it provides, the daylight, and the calmness that you can provide are very important to make people feel good when they are in this venue. So please don't compromise on that. When you are discussing with management and they offer you a room in the basement that has some moisture smell or no daylight at all, or they have you have rusty furniture, just for the sake of having an internal academy, please don't compromise this. We don't want to provide low quality experience for our employees. That's not the point of having an internal training academy. Another thing is choosing a little bit about the tables and the projector, the screen, the technology, the chairs. Make sure that your training room furniture and equipments are adjustable. Adjustable in the basic terms and adjustable in the IT terms. So, for example, just a fair example about tables. You know now that training is moving toward highly interactive methodologies. So please do not bolt your tables in the floor and make them fixed. Do not bring big chairs that take too much space and don't allow people to see the screens. Do not bring big tables that are very hard to move. Bring some tables that can be joined into squares, can be joined into half moon, can be joined into triangles that will allow group discussion. You can take them away if you have an experiential learning activity, or you can join them in a U shape whenever you feel like that. They can facilitate role plays, they can facilitate group discussion, so make sure that you do that very carefully. Again, the venue is one of the physical aspects that give the impression about how the company is investing in learning, which is a very sensitive topic. I need to remind you once again. So this is about the first component, which is the venue itself. Let me move to the next topic, or the next component, which is in turn how you select internal trainers. So Rustan, that's a little bit of the process that I'm going to share with you. So first of all, internal trainers need to be subject matter experts in their own fields. And by subject matter experts, I don't mean that they recognize themselves as subject matter expert. They are recognized by everyone in the organization that they are subject matter expert. So that when they stand up in the room, they have credibility enough to control the classroom. If they design a course online or they write a document for your online courses, then their name will bring more credibility to the learning solution itself. So in fact, you need subject matter experts that are recognized as subject matter expert. They have a success record in the organization for being successful in their areas. You cannot bring an HR manager that is struggling to manage the HR operation and then all of a sudden they go and train on HR for non-HR managers. You cannot have a company that is not profitable and ask the finance director to come and talk about profitability. Maybe he is the best in this area, but the employees will not perceive him as per se, and that's very risky. So you are bringing to the conference room or to the learning solution a hostile kind of audience. Sorry. The second quality is these guys need to be believers in learning. And that's what need to motivate them intrinsically to deliver their learning solutions or to develop their learning solutions. Some companies offer rewards for internal trainers. I wouldn't connect honestly this to monetary rewards because that would ruin the whole idea and the whole culture of learning. You need people who are willing to commit on the basis of having learning as a value from the inside. So they are teachers by nature. They like sharing their knowledge. They like sharing their expertise. So now you have your own preliminary criteria to select those internal trainers. So you start by nominating them, either by going around and asking managers whom they think that would fit such a role, or if from your own expertise you identify some potential internal trainers. And then you go through a process of values assessment, learning values assessment that need to be developed based on your own organization. And you need to also do some knowledge tests to know how well they are ready to initiate a development program for themselves to become, let me call it, certified internal trainer for your own organization. So that's the bare minimum that you start with. And then you will sign with them an agreement that they need to deliver and design this amount of courses. They are going to be evaluated based on certain criteria of the training. The evaluation will be shared. You will be, or some subject matter expert in training and development should sit in their courses and coach them, evaluate them on their performance. So by the end of a year of performance, if they reach their KPIs, they're going to be certified to deliver those courses from your own organization. So in order to do that, after the selection process, they need to undergo a instructional design training. And for that, I would recommend that they do it with an external partner, unless you have the expertise in the company. And they would also need to undergo a training on delivering training. So I'm sure you know that designing instructions is a topic by itself, and delivering instructions is another topic. And a designer can deliver, but a trainer need not to design the course themselves. They can pick up a course that has been designed by a professional designer and deliver it accordingly. The item number 6 is reputation. In other words, I will not choose someone with a bad character that has fights or bad history in relationship with so many people in the organization, though that people will not register to a course just for the mere fact that he is delivering the course. Well, that's very fair. I know. You know, at least in the beginning, you need to start with people who are likable and who are trustworthy, and uh, are in good terms of their potential trainees. So that's about the internal trainers. Rustan, I hope I answered your question. If you have further question, please do not hesitate to type it in the chat box as well. The third aspect of, or the third component, is the course catalog. So you will imagine that the courses that you need to offer in this academy are the courses that are the most frequent and the courses that are going to be offered the most and for a long period of time. So they need to be sorted in categories. They need to have attractive titles. And you need to make sure that every course has a leaflet, including the target audience, including the objectives, including the detailed outline, including the time, including the competencies that you would like to develop. So all this. And they also need to state whether this course needs prerequisite or not. The collection of all those courses is going to build you a curriculum of courses. Now, this would be very helpful because later on, when you are undergoing with line managers training needs analysis, this could be a source of programs that they can assign to their employees for their next year development plans. And this way, imagine that after 5 or 6 years, you have a library of 35 delivered, reviewed, and updated courses with 1 or 2 internal trainers that can deliver those. This is what we call an optimized ROI on learning, especially if your subject matter expert are designing activities that are related to the day-to-day operation. They know the business, they know the people, they know their struggle. There is no gloves worn anywhere between them, so everything is transparent. They can tackle their problems heads on. Then your training will be absolutely beneficial. Certainly, this catalog can include courses outside your area of expertise if you can go and partner with some third-party provider that are willing to design courses for your own academy and allocate their own trainers to come and visit your training academy and deliver those courses as well. You will get the best of the both worlds because it's somehow very very uncommon that you can cover all the needs of learning and development through internal trainers. And don't try to do that, trust me, because you will jeopardize the quality and you will give a bad perception. So that's again another thing. And by the way, if you have a venue, it doesn't mean that all your trainings need to happen in the venue. So you can do that, but you do not refuse requests from a general manager to go outside the venue because they need a little bit of privacy or they need a little bit of silence and retreat from the organization. So if you have a venue, it doesn't mean that most of the courses will happen in the venue, but not all the courses 100% are going to happen in the venue as well. Sometimes you will have you will need an auditorium with 300 people. So your venue might not accommodate for that. The fourth component of the academy is your learning partners. So you need to certify your courses, or you need to certify your trainers. You need to audit your content. So you will need maybe a university, maybe an accreditation body, an association that is very famous, like SHRM, like ILM, like Meirc Training and Consulting, that can certify your training, audit your content, develop your content, is reputable enough, and is able to give you accreditation for the courses that you offer for a certain agreement that would leverage the image of the learning solution that your academy offers. Your partner needs to be reputable. So when your audience sees that you are partnering with those people, then it means that they can be proud of attending your courses. They can see your certificates as well. They can review your courses, and they can make sure that you are offering state-of-the-art solutions. So you can partner with content developers. You can partner with trainer developers. You can partner with accreditation bodies. Mainly, you need to choose partners that are aligned with your culture in terms of discipline, in terms of learning. And you need that partner to be a little bit flexible in terms of the solutions that they offer and in terms of their trainers' availability, so they can accommodate for the dates that you choose as well. The fifth component is information system. So mainly you can see that this kind of work requires lots of logistics, coordination, food and beverage, tables, cleanliness, maintenance, everything. So you need to really automate those logistics through a software that manages registration, declining invitations, who attended, who didn't attend, reporting those attendances, administration of some assessments maybe after the course itself, ability to capture the information so it can save you the hassle of the day-to-day data entry, for example, or any kind of tedious job, so you can focus on what matters most, which is the learning itself. And finally, if you can get an information system that can do some basic data analysis, some basic reporting, some dashboarding, that would be very nice. So that's about it in regards to the components of the academy. Allow me to wrap up with some of the success metrics of an internal training academy. So as time goes by, you need to measure how successful your academy is. So what do you need to calculate? What are the numbers that you need to look after? You need to have a profitability indicator, making sure that you calculate the ROI on investment and making sure that you compare your offerings versus offering without the academy itself, making sure that you include all the costs, including the cost of personnel, including the cost of training department, so you can calculate the profitability indicator of the academy itself. But you also need a quality indicator from internal and external audit, from audience perspective, from line management perspective, and from partner perspective as well. So you need to maintain a certain level of participant satisfaction. You need to maintain a certain level of line management satisfaction as well. All this need to be taken into account. You need also to manage the regularity indicator. So how often you are offering your courses. Are there courses that are better to be offered from the outside of the organization by a third party or from the internal thing? You need also to calculate the innovation indicator, how innovative you are in terms of all the offerings and in terms of updating your technologies, your methodologies, and your content as well. You need to measure the engagement indicator to check whether the perception from the audience and from the management is getting lower, so you can intervene on that. You can measure the societal indicator because internal academies can be used to leverage your CSR activities. So you can invite people from outside the organization to attend some courses, and that would add to your CSR ratio, and it means that you are contributing to your society. And finally, this academy, if communicated well to the external audience, can be a talent magnet, so it can attract the best talents in the market for you, and you can measure whether these talents are coming through a referral of the academy itself. So these are 7 success metrics that an internal academy can have, and the beauty of it is that you can use your information system to have a dashboard looking like the slide that you are looking at. It's dynamic, it's real time, and it can be analyzed and reported to management, reported to everyone in the organization, and you will be enjoying the results of such a great initiative called the Internal Training Academy. So that's about the introduction that we have about this topic, and I believe that now you have an answer to your question. Are you ready to establish your internal training academy? That's a question that I leave within your hands. I'll just before I wrap up, I will allow a little bit of time for the questions. But meanwhile, let me please share with you that we are launching a new course next year called Managing Your Internal Training Academy, from establishment to improvement all the way. And it is offered next year twice, once in June and once in November. It is offered in Dubai, and both sessions are happening in Sofitel, downtown Dubai, a very nice hotel, by the way. Both courses are offered in English, and the course objectives are assessing the needs of your organization for an internal training academy, monitoring the performance of internal training academies through the KPIs that are well defined, recruiting, developing, and rewarding internal subject matter experts as trainers for the internal academy, building your corporate curricula and library of courses, and finally, implementing effective internal comm strategies for your academy so it can thrive and it can be used as a leverage for the learning and development department. So certainly the course outline is detailed on our website, so I'm gonna paste the link to the course in the chat box. Please feel free to go through it and check whether this could be of interest of you. As well, I am sharing my email, so if you would like to email me to have more insights about that or ask any to inquire about anything about the course, please feel free as well to do so. So 3 minutes for the questions if you have any, otherwise we will wrap out. Okay, so Rustan, what is your question? Please go ahead. So can I share examples of training design? Unfortunately, that's not possible because of the company policy. We cannot share the design of our training the way we design our courses, the backbone of it. But I would suggest that you attend with us an instructional design course. We have a course called Certified Instructional Design Practitioner that might be very beneficial. Unfortunately, I'm not able to share training designs. And the example of motivation for trainers, certainly they are included in the training budget, so you need to do that. Now there are two ways of doing that. Either you can use the company events to show them appreciation to some trophies or through some awards for going above and beyond. You can sometimes share with them physical gifts that are related to learning. You can also prepare some events to distribute certificates and have them as your honor guests in these events. And you can, if it's possible, to add their contribution to the internal training academy to their own performance management, to their own KPIs as employees in the organization for a weight of 5 or 7%. And that way you will be able to reward those trainers and motivate them to keep on delivering trainings. However, this being said, usually if this internal training is not a full-time job, then you need to expect that every internal trainer will serve you for 3 or 4 years, and then they need to hand the mission to someone else. So your development of internal trainers need to be on the go. So Rustan, my dear, unfortunately, the question is very wide and it needs lots of time. I'm very sorry, but the training budget is a science by itself that would require lots of time to answer. But if you can just email me some of your questions, and I promise you I'll try to make sure to answer them, because the budget of training is a very diversified exercise that includes so many aspects, and unfortunately the time will not allow me to do so right now. Sure, thank you very much. I'm really glad with your questions. I would like to thank everyone who joined this interesting conversation and interesting webinar, and I wish you a happy new year. May your 2020 be a prosperous, a healthy, and a happy one. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Meirc.com